Hello everyone, you know we are all in a pandemic. Nobody likes pandemic, right? But anyway, we all have to manage the pandemic. The government, the health authorities, the police, the military, all of them do their part to manage it. But what about you? What about me? What about your parents? We all have to play our part to manage the pandemic. Let me help you how you can manage your pandemic. Well, let me tell you guys, we are not just talking about fighting this disease, right, called COVID-19, but there are so many other things that affects us because of this COVID-19. Stress, anxiety, less social gathering, less connection with friends. Our studies are affected. We have been doing through online many more stories affecting us because of this pandemic. Well, the Bible can help you to manage this pandemic. So that's why I call this series, Managing the Pandemic. Well, there is a story in the book of Genesis, chapter 50 and verse 20, that says, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good. He brought me to this position so I could save the lives of many people." This was spoken by Joseph. He was speaking to his brothers. His brothers were so jealous of him. They caught hold of him, threw him inside a well and told their fathers, "Your son Joseph is dead." But you know what? God had a better plan. God took Joseph to Egypt. For 13 years, he was a slave in Egypt. But miraculously, he rose to greatness and became the prime minister of Egypt. Now, tell me about that. I'm sure all of us want to write stories like that for ourselves. And that's what happened to Joseph. He became the prime minister, man. Come on. That's an awesome job to have. But it wasn't easy. It came after he became a slave, thrown into prison for 13 long years. But you know what? What Joseph said was to all his brothers, "You intended it for evil, but God somehow turned it around and brought it good. Because now I'm the prime minister of Egypt, I can save you all." Because the brothers came to find him for food. And he said, "Guys, you intended it bad, right? It's okay. God sees better. He made me prime minister, so now I can provide food for you." That's how we see this pandemic. Because we think it is going to destroy us. But let me tell you something. God has a better plan. God can use this and bring good out of it, and we need to see it. Once we see that, then we can manage our pandemic, this pandemic well. There's a friend of mine who was really interested in a girl, but the girl was not responding to fast enough, as much as he wanted her to respond fast enough, right? So what he did was, well, he was thinking, girlfriend is not responding fast enough, so I'm going to take her on a roller coaster ride. So he took her to a park where they had roller coaster, and he bought 2 tickets, and they sat together. You know what? As the roller coaster went and did all the loops and the crazy stuff that only roller coaster could do, you know what? She was getting closer and closer and closer because she was hugging him so tight because she was so afraid. Now you would think that the roller coaster meant evil, but actually, when they got down, he was saying, when they got down of the roller coaster, it looked like 2 people went up, but it looks like only one person came down because she was holding him so tight. I think that's what God does. The harder the difficult things get around us, God does that. He brings us closer and closer and closer to Him. And that's what it is. When we are one with Him, I tell you, we know His love, we can feel His presence, and that's how God helps you. Though we feel like this is bad, but look, God has taken it to bring good out of it. Like what Joseph said, "You intended it evil." Tell the devil, "Hey, you intended it evil to us by bringing this disease, but God intended it to be good." Right? So God bless you all. Stay strong. You can manage the pandemic.